Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys, again. This was a Patreon and member exclusive. Pretty amazing stuff, really. Who did Epstein really report to? Because he was definitely not the top of the food chain, but he had access to things most people don't have access to.
A lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, very, very real things. Peter Mandelson, arrested over Epstein files just days after Andrew was held by cops. Don't forget, Andrew was released too, but it may not be over yet. Now, this is an ex-ambassador of the UK. He's accused of leaking sensitive government intelligence to the E-Man. Yes, he is not being charged with any sort of sexual misconduct at this point. So here, again, is it just a big show? Is it just all for show and then there'll be a little slap on the wrist? It kind of feels like this is being done for show. I hope it is much more serious than that, though.
All we can do is watch and see the real results. Is anything going to happen? So far, it just looks like, it is a catch and release.
Catch and release. That is a good way to put it. Here you have a South Carolina magistrate judge, James B. Gosnell Jr., charged with 6 federal charges involving hundreds of videos, images of minors. More dark stuff. This is a sitting judge. A sitting judge. Been presiding over cases involving individuals charged with the same sort of crimes that he is now going to be charged with. Oh man, this just shows you exactly how deep this runs. It's very deep. Then you have a certain person named David Funston, kidnapped multiple kids under age of 7, and one was just a little girl of 3, who was granted parole as part of Newsom's elderly parole program. He had been convicted and sentenced to 3 life terms in '99, but was just granted early release thanks to Newsom's law. Think about this. Think of what we see with Newsom and similar states similar to California in laws, and countries for that instance. And then we see also a push to help people leave their lives behind and exit the bodies in the same places. It is just beyond most people's ability to. How do you reconcile this? There's no way to really reconcile this. It's funny, there's a video out today where Governor Newsom is laughing about his own lack of intelligence, literally laughing and saying, you think you guys are stupid, and he's giving reference to his scores and his numbers on his SATs, basically saying, I'm just as dumb as you guys. Yeah, exactly. These are not, obviously, there's no spiritual intelligence with these people. There's no real intelligence with these people. When you really listen to members of Congress talk, most of them sound like idiots. Most of them sound like they really don't have even slightly above average intelligence in a country, unfortunately, at this point in time, and a world where IQs have been dropping like rocks. And there's a reason for this. Here you go. The E-Man and somebody from the Red Shield family discuss a coup in Ukraine after Maidan incident in 2014. The coup in Ukraine should provide many opportunities. Many. The Rothschild side of things. I miss our conversations. Hope you're doing well. This is again talking to the E-Man. I'll be here home tomorrow evening. Will you be free? Let's discuss Ukraine. We understand how much they manipulate everything. They make profits off of everything. In my mind, the entire Rothschild family should be stripped of everything. Same thing with the royals. I don't think you're going to find many innocent royals. There might be a couple somewhere, far distant cousins. But when you get down to it, these people are just so interwoven in the problems of the world, the misery of the world. It's just beyond most people's comprehension. So, U.S. intelligence aided Mexican special forces in El Mencho killing. As Claudia Scheinbaum's, it looks like she has crossed a line, and you have full-blown warfare going on all throughout Mexico. You could see all these little red boxes. This is where there's been incidents, major battles being fought. Literally, U.S. citizens being told, shelter in place, don't leave where you are. Stay indoors and just, hide as the battles are raging. This is insanity. But the reality is that corruption and organized crime cartels are not just in Mexico, they're around the world. And perhaps, you could find them most often centered in our political structures. Basically, ticks and leeches, parasites just feeding off of society that doesn't even realize they're being utilized as food and fuel. So supposedly the U.S. is thinking of a way to de-escalate Iran, to get off of the attack on Iran. As a top general said, it would be far more difficult than Venezuela was, and even some statements being made that maybe they won't. And maybe, in the future, later on in the year, there might be some sort of surgical strike. It would be wonderful to see this de-escalate, because when this happens, this right now with, again, Iran having war games with China and Russia together jointly and all the statements been made, it literally is WW3. It's not hard to figure that the control system has so much coming out that World War III is perhaps one of the only things that could divert attention away from everything that's being leaked. Here you go, leaked Epstein emails confirmed that Kash Patel's FBI was apparently trying to cover up things and, slow down that reveal. I mean, again, he's on record saying there's nothing there. Obviously, there was a lot there. But what's Kash doing? He's getting drunk. This is what they do. I mean, they just celebrating a victory, the U.S. hockey team winning. But you got to realize that every single alcoholic beverage you put down, every mind-altering substance, whether it's pharmaceutical or otherwise, does alter your consciousness, does open up doors for other entities to step in and manipulate. This is just a reality. It's fascinating that our youngest generation has ditched alcohol like we've never seen before. Alcohol sales have plummeted. They have lost billions of dollars. Literally, when you look to alcohol in Islamic wording, at the center of the word alcohol, it basically translates as a flesh and mind devouring demon, which is actually, again, what it is. And, hey, I was somebody that had a glass or two of wine for several decades at night all the time before bed to help with falling asleep. Again, I've given that up, and now I really won't touch it.
No, there's so much going on. People getting clean. I think that's wonderful. I think the alcohol has been a problem for a very long time. I do see plant medicines taking its place, and I'd rather see plant medicine, but the plant medicine they're using is synthetic and it's altered. So that part I don't like, but I do like the alcohol getting put away because it slowly rusts at the soul. It's really a slow method of really harming yourself and causing depression and depleting the brain, and it actually shrinks the brain, moves people into depression. So I'm glad to see things are changing in that area, as far as looking at the information that's coming out with the e-files. So sad that this is happening, these catch and releases. I don't like that, because the part that I'm keeping an eye on is the victim side of it. When they see this, that is so very traumatizing to not be heard. It follows into generation after generation after generation. When someone is victimized and they're seen and they're heard and there are consequences, true healing can begin. But my concern is this catch and release, and I can't help but have my hearts with those who've been victimized, who are also watching this. So I'm going to keep hoping for more action to be taken, something tangible, not just, oh, come on in for questioning. Come on, this is not like he stole a lollipop from a dollar store. These things that are coming out are hideous. They're some of the worst things that you really can't get out of your mind once you read them, but we can't ignore them either.
Britons deserve better. This is from a Putin aide talking about Starmer and, the Epstein-linked revelations in Prince Andrew. Kirill Dmitriev has weighed in on scandals surrounding UK Prime Minister and King Charles III's brother, Andrew. And the people of the UK deserve better. And that's true. Absolutely. Here you have, again, Russian authorities saying this. Yeah, we've always been under constant imprinting of, again, patriotism. No matter what country you're in, there's this patriotism it's really, they try to drive it as deep into your skull as possible, because that enables them to keep us divided. If we just blatantly think that we are the best, always we are the best, we are the best, we are the best, and then you don't say at what, and you don't actually look at what, you just leave it at we are the best. That is just insane. But yet that's the reality of this world. And you have to look at really results. Results tell you everything. Maybe we are the best at making money off of pain and suffering. You could look at what all the wars the U.S. has been involved with. Recognize, who has been really controlling the country and all the nations, really, for the most part, when you get down with it, behind the curtains. Teach them everything about nothing. That's a great statement. Teach them everything about nothing. This is what they do. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. He who works all day has no time to make money. No, because you don't really make money working and sweating away. A lot of people have done well for themselves by putting in a lot of sweat equity. But at the same time, in this system, this is one of the things I learned as I was climbing up the corporate ladder in my own life. I realized that every rung up the ladder, they did less. It was a huge revelation. This always kept me at a certain level of management because, I couldn't justify what I was discovering. That as I climbed up, and I spent, many years, decades in management in various businesses, it just was staggering that the higher you go, you typically don't do more, you do less in many instances. But this is what we have. I mean, how much do they really do behind the scenes? Well, they're always on yachts. They're always off away on, amazing vacations around the world. They have multiple houses. Again, jet setting. They're going to different, meetings and stuff like the WEFers and et cetera, et cetera. You see that they do a lot of manipulating. They do convince other people to do their dirty work. But they themselves don't get dirty. This is the reality. How about this? This is from New Scientist. This is 14th of February, 2024. Is it time for a more subtle view on the ultimate taboo? What? Cananism? Are you kidding me? Sometimes for compassionate reasons? They should shut this whole magazine down. This is just ridiculous. Just completely ridiculous. This is what we have. David Icke, one of the few people that has been saying this forever. And I came awake kind of co-equal with David Icke. And when I found David Icke back in late 80s, early 90s, I thought, oh my God, here's a kindred soul that sees what I see. And David Icke was right. It's a statement that happens time and time again. The world is currently run by you-know-what. This must change. This is Andrew Bridgen, by the way, who has done a lot and been very, very abused in the UK Parliament. And so David says, wait for the next revelation, mate. When they realize that non-humans are the ones behind this. And when you go back to the New Scientist article, how could humans do this? Well, the ones that are originally doing this they're not us. So, I'm just saying, an alligator or crocodile will eat anything in front of it. Anything. Doesn't matter. That's just the way they are. Cold-blooded eating machines. And how about Stephen Greer here?
I know that you have essentially written a speech for the president to deliver if he decides to do this. I want to quote just the first line. My fellow Americans and all citizens of Earth, it has come to our attention that extraterrestrial civilizations of great technological advancement have been visiting Earth for some time. Could you see President Trump being the first president to step to the podium and deliver a speech like that?
I do, and apparently his daughter-in-law believes so as well. And I think the reason for that is that there are so many pressures about this subject coming out in the next few months that delaying it much longer would not be proper. And I've advised in a briefing we did for the White House that they do not want to be behind the curve on this. They want to not have it come out through other countries or in some other way, asymmetrically, let's say, and they want to be ahead of this. So I think it looks like it is picking up steam. And of course, what actually gets decided by the president, I'm not privy to per se, not directly, but I do think this is coming on a fast track right now. But
yeah, because again, it's coming out even in the e-files. If you look closely, it's there. It's always been there. By the way, the extreme weather just continues. All our friends up in the Northeast, again, you have New Jersey giving out warnings on the blizzard and closing things down like they haven't, I think, since 96, if I remember right. It's just wild, the extreme weather. But going back to the other thought, they have no choice. This is why this is coming out concurrent with all the revelations from the E-Man and then so many other things as well. They can't hide it anymore. They have to get ahead of the curve. They have to have their story in place. I think there's a really good chance that if you guys can make it to 2030, I think it's a really good chance that you'll see on TV, on YouTube, what have you, non-humans and maybe even communication with them. And I think actually the chance is pretty high. You might see that 2028, 2027, maybe even this year. A lot of people have had direct experiences.
Oh my gosh. I think there's so many changes in the works, and they're really, to me, it's very, very concerning with all this information coming out. It's not that we didn't know. It's just that why are they rolling out everything now? Why everything now? And it doesn't seem like they're really holding back. So to me, there's they know something. These controllers know something, and they're trying to wash their hands as quickly as possible so they can say, karmically speaking, see, we told them everything. And we'll just have to wait and see. There's some things that I keep seeing in our future timeline that I'm not really comfortable with. So I'm just kind of waiting to see if that is going to be shifting at all before I even say something.
Yeah, 96. It was 96. So, this is pretty wild. You got some areas with 13 inches of snow in New Jersey, state of emergency. And some places up to 24 inches with winds that are up to 70 miles an hour. Oh, this reminds me of 1978. I think it was 78 when we had the big two. We had two big ones back to back, 10 days apart, I believe, up in Connecticut. Oh, I remember that because I had a lot of canceled school and I was a happy little boy. Absolutely, guys. The power went out at our beloved brother Robbie there up in Massachusetts. I hope you guys are all safe and sound and warm. And let me just pull this up and see what we are looking at with power outages. We are trying to do these videos in between clients. We do life coaching, energy work. We do Vedic astrology. You can have your Varsha Phala chart checked out, which will give you a groundwork for what's actually going on in the year ahead. it's amazingly accurate. You know, when you get down to it, again, they say millionaires follow astrology and billionaires Vedic astrology. Wow, California, you got some outages there. Right now, it doesn't look too bad in New York. You only have 17,447 people without power, but over in New Jersey, 127,398, and up in Mass, 283,000. Wow, almost 10% of Massachusetts is without power. We're sending you guys love and positive energy. Delaware, 68. This is a big, big storm, guys. Again, do you believe that the weather that we watch is all natural, or do you think there's a pretty substantial portion of it that is artificially enhanced?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm leaning on that artificial enhancement. As you can see, these are the areas that are getting most of that snow. 18 to 24 inches is just wild. You know, but again, these times records fall just one after the other. How about the choosing of the words here? Northeast paralyzed by 28 inches of heart attack snow? Heart attack snow? Why are you going to call it that? Well, I understand. You got to be careful when you go out in the very cold weather and you shovel. It's a very, very exhausting thing to do. This snow, too, is real sticky. You know, that sticky wet stuff that makes great snowballs and snowmen? Very heavy, very heavy. But, you know, again, is there anything else there with choosing the words heart attack? I just wonder.
You know, you got to ask.
And then Cindy had a vision that she shared with me. It was like 2 nights ago. She saw a bus go off a cliff and, you know, drop into a ravine, and it just was really scary. And then this morning, I see this. 19 were killed when a bus plunged 650 feet into a ravine in Nepal. We pray for them and, you know, their families. Again, this type of event can be very shocking. This is where you often will have encounters with quote-unquote ghosts, because it can happen so quick that the person gets disconcerted and often doesn't even understand what's happening.
Yeah, it was really frightening in my dream. We were trying to round a corner, and we just couldn't. We weren't going to be able to make the road, and it went off the side. And, you know, it was one of those dreams. And then you wake up and you say, oh, my gosh, thank goodness that wasn't true. But then here is this. And it just really, you have to wonder, wow, was someone from my soul stream on that bus? And that's why I was able to see it. Or was I just able to see it because that's something I tapped into in that moment in time? It was really devastating. And then to see this, it's like, oh, gosh, you know, it did happen. And I thought it didn't. So it's one of those things.
Please do. Make note of your dreams. Keep a dream journal. Again, our pineal glands are being awakened. And if you all of a sudden are getting off the fluoridated water, getting off alcohol, getting off all the big pharma and the mind-altering substances, yes, there are some mind-altering substances that can help induce that production of DMT. Yet, I think always I would encourage people to do your mantras, do your meditation, do your Qigong, your mind, body, breath work, yoga. That's the way to develop real permanent enhancement of abilities. But our abilities are coming online. And this is really why everything else is happening, because we're waking up. They can't stop it. They're trying as hard as they can. I know it's quite a hit and run.
I know. I think the animals are becoming very good actors and actresses. They're just so cute. Look at this guy.
Yeah, we want to thank quickly everybody that's been, jumping aboard the Life Wave, the group, which has been just amazing. There is a link there to Life Wave, which is, again, it's the power of light. And this is some of the technology that's going to be coming out to help to level the playing field, so to speak. There is going to be a lot of new technology coming out. There are others that we've utilized as well as this, which are non-invasive. Awakening dormant stem cells is a no-brainer in that is really a key to the fountain of youth and abundant health and literally reclaiming vitality.
This has been for me instrumental in moving that needle to another level with my emotional health and my physical health. And it's really important. I just want to mention, you guys, it's so important. The recommendation is to put the stickers on for 12 hours and take it off for 12 hours. That is important because the body loses the signal, like goes signal blind. So you really have to do what they say. I thought, well, why not just leave it on forever? You can't, because the body will lose the signal. And also hydration. You need to make sure your body is full of minerals, because this is what feeds those little awakening stem cells. And it's going to vary from person to person. But for me, I can tell you there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to help many people. And if you're one who's recovering from surgery, or if you're in pain, this is something that I think is going to be very helpful for many.
Absolutely. As always, guys, much love, source bless, and namaste.
Namaste.